Hello, I'm alone in Finland. This is Eve Online, and I thought I'd talk today about something that has come up in the comments because it is a good skill for new players to know. It's not really a skill; it's just a method, but it's a good way to get some SP, some skill points very quickly at the beginning. And for an existing player, if you don't know about this, it's a way to keep patching a little bit of skill points if you want to boost what you've got or the something you're going for. Now, qualifications right at the beginning, because the person who described this described it entirely wrong and had that, the secret word again, disconnect between reality and what's possible. What they said was you can earn 750,000 skill points in a short amount of time, which is nonsense. You can't. Plain and simple, there's no way of doing it. There is a method of doing this where you can harvest about 400,000 skill points in a couple of hours, but the qualifier being you can do it in like 2 hours, but then you're waiting 10 to 20 to be able to do it again. So it's not 200,000 skill points every hour, every 2 hours. It's actually every 10 to 12 hours. And on top of that, the particular method that's spoken about is kind of a famous method because somebody on the Reddit forums came up with this. It requires a POS. It requires multiple accounts. So it's not newbie friendly at all because a newbie can't set up a POS. And it was the commenter was aiming at this. Well, if you're a new player, you can do this. You can't. It's nonsense. You can earn skill points this way, so I'll explain the system, but that's the qualifier right at the beginning because I am now on some sort of weird crusade against all of the bullshit that is coming up on YouTube saying, oh, you can go and do this and you will earn hundreds of millions per hour or so many 100,000 skill points per hour. And it's nonsense. It really is. There are ways of doing it, but not for a solo player. And I really specifically wanted to sort of define that because a solo player is one person playing on one account, not one person playing on 15 accounts at the same time. There is always discussions about that kind of multi-boxing where it's one mouse that is controlling all of the accounts at the same time as to whether it comes up as hacking or not, as scripting, which is specifically banned in EVE. And it goes backwards and forwards depending on the devs. There has been points where people got banned for it in the past. So you have to be careful with it because it is a question. And at the moment it seems to be allowed. I literally passed 20 people the other day that were doing this specific thing in LowSec. And God, I loved it because they walked right into a pipe bomb and every one of them got annihilated in a second. So it was funny as hell for me. But check that. And this method I'm talking about, biomassing, check back. If it becomes inoperable, if they patch it so you can't do it, then I'll leave a note in the top of the description so that you know that this is outdated, because I don't want to be giving out false information. So with that all qualified and said, here's how you do it. You've got your main account. So for me, I've got Glasgow here. He's a new player, he's an alpha player, he's been training for a little while and I've not really been paying attention for him. This guy's never been in Omega once, just a pure alpha player. Now, I've got a skill plan going that is in alpha. I'm coming up to the 5 million points. And after that, obviously, it's slow training or no training, or I'm not quite sure what happens to that because I've never really paid attention after the 5 million. So what I want to do is I want to give him some more skill points. Now, if you've seen the air program in EVE, that's how we do it. That's how biomassing works. So you take your empty character slot. This was an example I was given. I'll explain that in a minute. But your empty character slot, you make a new character. Doesn't matter who, what, why, when. I would actually suggest you do it in Caldari space. So you make a Caldari character. Very specifically because of having a lot of things around about you and being able to get to Jita and buy some stuff quickly. So what you're going to do is you're going to pick a character. You don't go through the character creation and make all fancy stuff. You're just going to click next and next and next. Hit a randomized name. So we've got Avelfer Miet Artwork. Interesting name. Would you like to begin your journey with a tutorial? No. The reason not is because although you do get some skill points and some ships through that, you are... if you do that, it's going to take longer, a lot longer, because running through the tutorial takes an hour or two. And you want to be hitting these points as fast as possible. From here, you've got your character. From this point, you're going to hit escape. You're going to, should I say, you're going to copy your character's name. So make sure you've got it written down. Alva Vermeert Artvig, whatever this is. Copy that down. Hit escape. And log off. And you go back to the character screen. Then you're going to log in with your normal character.
Connecting.
I'll do this as a bit of an example, although I won't send the money. But you're going to log in with your normal character. You're going to go up to the Neocom, down to personal. Is it personal? No, it's social. Go to social and then contacts. Here, you go to search, type in your character's name. As an example, this is actually an old character that I sold many years ago. And then you're going to right click and give money. And you're going to give it a couple of million. I'd say about 5 million if you can. Whatever you can to get this running through. 5 million is probably a good amount. It's not going to be wasted. You're giving everything back to the character afterwards, right? Well, providing you don't lose the ship. So, now that you've done that, you're going to hit log off again. Yup. So we log off, we go back to the main character screen. We go back into Altvert's character. And then we take that money and we take a little Corvette and we bounce to Jita. And the reason being is you want a basic ship. I would say that you want 2 ships depending on how you do this. But the entire way of doing this is in here. So let me just set this to a size that you can see correctly on the screen. So this is the Air Career Program. Now, down at the bottom here, you can see if, just move that in slightly. You can see that it says you get 3,000 overall career points, and that's what we're aiming for. Now, you get 700, if you get 750 career points, you get 50,000 skill points. 1,500 career points gives you 75,000, 2,250 gives you 100,000, and 3,000 in total gives you another 125,000. They all stack, so it's not 50,000 and then an extra 25. It's 50,000 and then 70,000 for an entire total of 350,000 per character. If you've got 2 slots, you can do this twice, like once per character. And what you're going to do is, first up, you're not getting 350,000 skill points. That's not feasible. It's not a good idea. It's a stupid way of doing it because it takes so long. Let me show you. If you're in Soldier of Fortune, some of the career points can be picked up by duels. To get the full amount of career points, you would need to participate in 15 duels. So that is 15 duels in, it doesn't matter what sec you're in, but you have to challenge somebody to a duel 15 separate times. And obviously a duel lasts a certain amount of time. You can only be in one at a time, so you've got to keep participating. And I'm not sure if they have to accept, but I imagine that they do. So there's the other sort of method. There's lots of other methods in total, but you can see, going back to the duels, that you get one just for challenging one person. So if you're in your Rifter, challenge somebody to a duel in Jita, they'll most probably accept and you'll get absolutely annihilated. Remember to change where your clone's based. You want to base your clone in a good system. I would suggest Jita is the best way of doing this, but you could also do it in Heck, you could do it in Deltol, and you could do it in Armor. These are the main trade hubs. Rennes is also a main trade hub, they say, but it's been so quiet. I used to live there a decade ago. But now every time I go into it, there's like 1 or 2 ships undocking as opposed to the 20 to 200 that there used to be. So base yourself on one of these trade hubs and then start working through this. You've also got, for instance, social. So if you add a new contact, if you send a message in chat, join a fleet, join a corporation, send an email, you can do any of these things quite quickly and they build up points. And you're progressing through these. So I would say that this 75,000, which in total is 125,000, is a good amount to aim for as a new character. As you sort of see when you go back, there's a few things. For instance, Enforcer, pick up some loyalty points from missions. You can just do tech 1. You can do level 1 missions and get a couple of loyalty points. You've got Abyssal Dead Space. You can jump in and lose a ship. So jump in to a tier 0 Abyssal Dead Space site. Then you've got a few others if you go into a few different things. You've got trading on the market, so that's where you want to buy your ship, which will give you these points straight away. If you spend more than $1 million, you get all 4 points. Standings, if you get standing increases from doing a couple of missions, so you want to run through a few of these quite quickly. Also jumping into combat sites, some of the lower level combat sites, if you have to complete them, so you'd want a bit of a better ship, but again, something that is tanky, that goes along with your skills, but you're not trying to train any of your skills. And do not dump any of the skills that you get into this. You want to leave them alone, so you don't want to claim them. And that's a key thing. Do not claim anything from the Air Rewards program. So, now that you've done that, I'm going to get a couple of points just to see. I'm not sure how to do... I think this will do it. So if I put in somebody's name, subject, message, send mail, and you do that a couple of times and you'll pick up, there we go, we have picked up some 10 career points just from doing that. So you can do this for all of the different things, and that's what you want to do. You will get some ISK off of it, and then at these points you will also get your skill points. As I say, it's best to aim for this one in the middle, but you can aim for this. So you can get that extra 100,000 and go to sort of 225,000 points if you want to spend a bit more time, if you're enjoying it. And again, it's enjoyment. Don't do this. If it bores the life out of you, don't do it. But it's just a bit of an advantage. This 125,000 up here, this last one, you're not going to get it in any fashionable time. If you are aiming for it, if you get that full completion, you want to do it, that's fine. But when you look at some of the requirements, they just take too long and it's just not worth it, especially if you're trying to do this in a more efficient manner. For instance, if we go back to, I think it's the Enforcer, epic arcs are on there. You have to complete an epic arc, which is like a day's worth of work to put into this. There's no point, not for the extra stuff that you're going to do. Also, that requires some skill investment and things like that. You are planning on nuking this character in the first day. So the skills that you start with are the skills you're using and nothing else. You want to build around that. So that's that part of it. Now that you've claimed your stuff, your rewards, you will get them down in this box. So bottom left, you'll see the little, you have unclaimed rewards. For what I would say in general is don't touch these at all. Right? Leave these be. Once you've gotten to the point where you have skills, what we're going to do is we are going to take everything that we own. So if you go into personal assets and things like this, make sure it's all located in the same station, and then you're going to create a contract. So you take your inventory screen here, you grab everything that you've got. So for me it's this, you have to get out of it to do it, so leave ship, create contract. Where is it? Create contract. And then here you're going to put private and the name of the person you're sending it to. I hope nobody's using Dr. Jago as the main character anymore. I think it's defunct. But as an example. So you put that in there. Next. It's a non-empty ship, blah 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 blah, and you want to put in all of your assets, and then in pay you want to put in all of the money that you have left. So for instance, it's 5,000 ISK on this one, I'll put in the 5,000 ISK. This will confuse the guy if he ever comes back online as well. That's just funny. So you do that and you create the contract. Really create contract? Yes. Okay, and not enough ISK to create it, so you need some money to create it, but there you go. It's a 10,000 fee for sending £5,000. But yeah, so that's the point. You want to transfer your stuff across, create your contract, get all of your assets back onto your main character. Once you have trained, once you have done that, you want to log off, So your assets are all transferred. You want to log into your main and claim that contract. Then you can do it from this screen, or you can do it from inside your main. So I would suggest going into your main, claiming the contract, and then bringing up the redeem items button, and you will be able to redeem these items. So this is the ISK that we had before, the interstellar credits that we got. So we just put that there and it sends it to the main character. It will also include those loyalty points that you have. So you can claim those loyalty points and they will, no loyalty points, the skill points, and they will go on to the main character. Once you have done that, and you have cleared out everything, so the skill points are with this one, the any ISK, the contract, all of that is claimed. Once all of that is done, then you go back to this screen and you hit this little cross, terminate. And this is again where the person who was talking about this got it wrong, because they said you could do it every hour. You can't. There's a waiting thing. So, do you want to submit such and such for biomass reprocessing? Yes. Such and such can be terminated after 10 hours. Now, that changes, and I don't know why, because I had 9 hours on one of my other accounts. Maybe it's the thing about the account being in Omega. But between 9 and 10 hours. As you can see here, a couple of minutes ago, I did this one. So, now it's 10 hours before those characters are dead. And then once they're dead, you can create more characters and do the same thing again. You can extract all the skills out of them, or use them to get skills in the air program and put that into your new character. This is a slow method, but it does give you a bit extra, and for somebody who's newly beginning, running these sort of things is a good sort of way to get a bit of practice, and it's sort of kind of safe practice, because you have no intention of ever using that character again. And in some cases it's just a randomly generated name. In both of these it was a randomly generated name. So that's a good way of doing it. I would highly recommend doing it if you can. It adds a little bit skill points, as I say. It's a little bit of practice, but remember, it takes a while. Now, there is one particular thread from a guy who was fantastic and worked out how to do this to get 200,000 skill points and do it within 1 hour. A lot of people mention this, but a lot of people mention this as you could do it every hour. No, you can't. As you can see, you've got 10 hours before you can do it again. Yes, you can do it in 1 hour, but that is not you can do it every hour. And secondly, and more importantly, the method that this person's talking about, if you actually read the article, it requires a POS, quite a high level of skill for POS control for the main character that's doing this, and some, it requires POS skills for the secondary characters as well, because they have to be able to take control, which requires trained skills. So although they're saying, oh, anybody can do this, no, you can't. You have to invest a little bit into your actual peoples to be able to get them to do that. So you can harvest 200,000 skill points, but you're spending some of them as well to be able to do this. So it's not a great method. If you have the ability to set it up, have a look at it. I highly recommend looking at every source of information available. Just pinch of salt when you're doing it, because it ain't always that easy, and it's definitely not as easy as the vast amount of YouTubers for EVE Online seem to keep putting things forward. So that being that is biomassing. I hope it helps somebody. I hope it's an interesting technique for those of you that want a little bit more either practice or skill points. But again, I'm alone in Finland. Bye.